Hello, truth seekers. Welcome to Forgotten Echoes. My name is Thomas Sankara, an ally and former inhabitant of the Milky Way galaxy, and I'm the narrator of this masterpiece. The past is never silent. If you listen closely, you'll hear its echoes. Can't thank you enough for seeing my last video, the like, nice comment, and many more kind gesture. The Epic Empire of India, 322 BCE to 1818 CE. You guys are the real MVP. History is no fairy tale. It's a battlefield soaked in blood where thrones are won not by honor but by betrayal, ambition, and slaughter. Welcome to the real Game of Thrones, where we peel back the sanitized pages of textbooks to reveal the raw, unfiltered truth of history's deadliest power struggles. In AD 69, Rome faced a year unlike any other, the year of the four emperors, a brutal contest that saw four men claw their way to power, only to be cut down by those they trusted: Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian. Names etched in stone, but their stories are a chaos of knives in the dark, armies clashing, and a city choking on its own ambition. This wasn't just politics. It was war within the empire's heart, a conspiracy of greed that left thousands dead and a legacy of control that echoes through time. Legacy media spins tales of Roman glory, but they shy away from the gore, the backroom deals, the screams of the betrayed. Here we dive into that abyss where power wasn't a crown, it was a noose, tightening with every step. Picture a Rome teetering on collapse, its streets alive with whispers, its legions loyal only to the highest bidder. The stakes? Absolute, rule, or a grave. As we begin, brace yourself for a truth that bites. These emperors weren't heroes or villains. They were men who gambled with lives, their victories built on the bones of the fallen. This is no game. It's the bloody reality of history's darkest year, and its echoes demand we listen. In June 68 AD, Rome's heart faltered as Nero, the mad emperor, plunged a dagger into his own throat, ending a reign of excess and terror. The city erupted. Flames licked the forum. Mobs tore through the streets, their cries a mix of rage and fear. Nero's death wasn't an end. It was a spark, igniting a fire that would consume the empire. Senators huddled in marble halls, their whispers sharp as blades, plotting who'd fill the void. Enter Galba, a grizzled governor from Spain, 73 years old, his face carved with years of command. He wasn't young or charismatic, but he had legions, 7,000 strong, and gold to back his claim. His march to Rome was no triumph. It was a declaration of war, a signal to every ambitious soul that the throne was up for grabs. The streets buzzed with rumors. Some hailed him as savior, others sneered at his age, but all knew the game had begun. Legacy media paints Nero's fall as a tidy transition, but the truth is uglier. Rome was a beast without a head, its people pawns in a power grab that cared nothing for their lives. Galba's banners rose, his soldiers looted as they went, and the Praetorian Guard, the emperor's elite, watched with cold eyes, their loyalty a coin yet to be flipped. This wasn't a coronation, it was a blood-soaked gamble, and the stakes were rising. The year of the four emperors had begun, and its first move was a city tearing itself apart, waiting for a ruler bold enough or ruthless enough to claim it. October 68 AD, Galba strode into Rome, his boots echoing on the cobblestones, his legions a wall of steel behind him. The cheers were thin, forced from throats raw with fear. Here was no savior, but a stern taskmaster. At 73, he ruled with an iron fist, his decrees sharp as a blade. Taxes spiked, dissenters vanished, and the Praetorians, once Nero's pampered guard, found their pay slashed. He saw himself as Rome's restorer, purging Nero's excess, but to the people he was a miser, his wealth hoarded while they starved. The city simmered, its streets a cauldron of resentment. Enter Otho, a noble with a silver tongue and a predator's smile, once Nero's friend, now Galba's shadow. He watched from the sidelines, his villa a hive of whispers, his charm masking a hunger for the throne. The Praetorians, bitter and broke, were ripe for his promises: gold, glory, a return to power. Galba's grip tightened, but it cracked the Empire's fragile shell, his control a brittle illusion. Legacy media calls him a reformer, but the truth cuts deeper. He was a tyrant in a savior's cloak, his every move sowing the seeds of his doom. Otho's conspiracy took root in taverns and barracks, his words a poison dripping into eager ears. Rome wasn't saved. It was a powder keg, and Galba lit the fuse, blind to the knives sharpening behind him. This was no rain. It was a countdown, and the echoes of his missteps would soon ring with blood. Dawn broke cold on January 15, 69 AD, and Rome's fate shifted in a heartbeat. Otho's whispers had woven a net, and the Praetorians, bought with promises of gold, sprang it shut. Galba, riding through the forum, never saw it coming. His litter swayed, his guards loyal but outnumbered when the blades flashed. Praetorian steel, once his shield, now his doom. They hacked him down, his old body crumpling, blood pooling on sacred stones. His adopted heir, Piso, fell beside him, their heads severed, paraded on pikes as the crowd screamed or fled. Otho emerged from the chaos, his toga pristine, his smile a victor's mask. At 36, he was young, bold, Nero's echo without the madness, or so he claimed. The Senate, cowed, hailed him emperor, their voices trembling. This wasn't a coronation, it was a coup, a bloody grab that tore Rome's heart open. Legacy media frames it as a power shift, but the truth is raw. This was murder, a conspiracy of greed that traded one tyrant for another. The forum's stones drank deep that day, the air thick with the stench of death and ambition. Otho's reign began not with triumph, but with a warning. Power won by blood is power cursed to bleed. The people watched, their cheers forced, their fear a chain tightening. Galba's fall was no end. It was the second act in a game where every player held a knife, and the echoes of that slaughter set the stage for more. While Otho sat on his blood-bought throne, a storm brewed in the north. Vitellius, a corpulent general in Germania, lounged among his legions, 20,000 strong, battle-hardened, and restless. January 69th, AD. His soldiers, drunk on wine and loyalty, hailed him emperor, their cheers a thunderclap across the Rhine. He wasn't lean or cunning like Otho. He was a mountain of a man, his appetite for food matched only by his hunger for power. His march south began, a tide of steel and ambition, villages burning in his wake, his ranks swelling with every mile. Rome's whispers reached him. Otho's grip was weak, the Praetorians fickle, and Vitellius saw his chance. This wasn't a noble quest. It was a brute's gamble, a bid to crush one usurper with sheer force. His soldiers loved him, their loyalty forged in feasts and plunder, not ideals. Legacy media calls him a footnote, a glutton who stumbled into power, but the truth is grimmer. Vitellius was a warlord, his rise a wave of chaos that drowned all in its path. Otho's Rome trembled, its streets alive with fear as reports of the northern army grew. The game had shifted. Two emperors now, each a mirror of Rome's rot, their clash inevitable. Vitellius didn't plot in shadows. He roared in the open, his legions a fist poised to smash the throne. The echoes of his march shook the empire, a reminder that power isn't won by charm alone. It's taken by those willing to wade through blood. April 14th, 69 AD. The fields of Bedriacum near Cremona became a slaughterhouse. Otho's army, 15,000 men, Praetorians at their core, met Vitellius's northern horde, 20,000 strong, in a clash that shook the earth. Dust choked the air, swords rang, blood turned the grass to mud. Otho's troops fought with discipline, their shields a wall, but Vitellius's numbers overwhelmed them, their ferocity a tide that broke every line. The first battle of Bedriacum wasn't strategy, it was chaos, a meat grinder of ambition where men died screaming for emperors they barely knew. Otho, miles away in Brixellum, paced as runners brought grim news. His legions crumbled, his generals begged retreat. The Praetorians, his backbone, fell under northern axes, their gold-bought loyalty no match for raw force. By dusk, the field was a graveyard, 10,000 dead, the rest fleeing or captured. Otho's dream shattered, his throne slipping through his fingers. This wasn't a noble stand. It was a brutal lesson in power's cost, a truth legacy media glosses. Over Rome's fate wasn't decided in marble halls but in the dirt, by men who'd kill for a crown they'd never wear. Otho faced a choice: fight on or end it. The echoes of Bedriacum's carnage roared in his ears, a chorus of failure he couldn't silence. Vitellius's victory was no triumph. It was a butcher's bill, and Rome paid in blood. April 16th, 69 AD. Otho stood in his tent at Brixellum, the weight of Bedriacum's defeat crushing his spirit. At 36, he'd ruled for 3 months. 3 months of blood, betrayal, and a throne he couldn't hold. His generals urged flight. His soldiers wept for another chance, but Otho saw the truth. His game was lost. He drew a dagger, its edge glinting in the lamplight, and spoke his last, calm, resolute, a farewell to a Rome he'd failed. He plunged it into his chest, blood soaking his toga, his body slumping as the tent fell silent. His men found him at dawn, their cries a raw lament for a leader who'd rather die than crawl. The Praetorians, once his strength, mourned a master who'd paid their price in full. Vitellius's path to Rome cleared, his legions cheering a victory Otho handed them with his own hand. Legacy media calls this a noble exit, but the truth is bleaker. Otho's suicide was no hero's end. It was despair, a man broken by a power he couldn't wield. Rome didn't mourn. It gaped, its streets buzzing with shock and fear. The third emperor fell and the game rolled on, its stakes higher, its blood deeper. Otho's death wasn't peace, it was a scream, an echo of a year where ambition ate its own, and the throne remained a prize no one could keep. July 69th, AD. Vitellius rolled into Rome, his bulk swaying atop a horse, his legions a victorious tide behind him. The city bent knee, its cheers a mask for dread. This was no savior, but a conqueror, drunk on power and wine. At 54, he was a grotesque parody of rule, his feasts legendary, his table groaning with excess while Rome's poor starved. He gorged on peacock and dormice, his jowls dripping as his soldiers purged Otho's allies. Senators vanished, homes burned, blood ran in the gutters. The Praetorians, once Otho's, swore fealty, their loyalty a coin flipped again. Vitellius didn't govern, he reveled, his court a circus of sycophants and brutes. This wasn't triumph, it was tyranny, a reign built on Bedriacum's corpses and Rome's fear. Legacy media paints him as a bumbling fool, but the truth is darker. Vitellius was a predator, his gluttony a mask for a cruelty that crushed dissent. His purges weren't random, they were control, a conspiracy to silence any who'd challenge his throne. The people watched, their hunger growing, their whispers turning to curses. Vitellius thought he'd won the game, but Rome's heart beat with unrest, its streets a tinderbox waiting for a spark. The fourth emperor sat heavy, his rule a feast of flesh and fear, and the echoes of his excess promised a reckoning he couldn't outrun. July 1st, 69 AD. In Judea's dusty camps, Vespasian stood among his legions, 30,000 men, hardened by war against rebels. At 59, he was no young usurper, but a soldier's soldier, his face weathered, his hands stained with battle. His troops, loyal to the core, raised their swords and named him emperor, their roar a challenge to Vitellius's excess. This wasn't impulse, it was strategy, a rebellion born of disgust at Rome's rot. Vespasian sent his son Titus to Egypt, seizing Alexandria's grain ships, Rome's lifeline, starving Vitellius's bloated rule. His plan was cold, calculated. Choke the city, then take it. The eastern legions rallied, their banners a tide rolling west, their march a promise of order over chaos. Vitellius laughed in his feasts, but Vespasian's shadow grew, his name whispered in Rome's streets as a savior, or a new tyrant. Legacy media calls him a steady hand, but the truth is sharper. Vespasian was a predator, his rebellion a conspiracy of survival, his control a blade aimed at Rome's heart. He didn't charm or bribe, he commanded, his legions a fist ready to smash Vitellius's throne. The game turned again, its players dwindling, its stakes a city on the brink. Vespasian's rise wasn't glory, it was war, and the echoes of his march promised a reckoning Rome couldn't ignore. October 24th, 69 AD. Bedriacum's fields bled again, a second battle under a moonless sky. Vespasian's legions, 25,000 strong, disciplined, relentless, met Vitellius's battered army, 20,000 men weakened by excess and fear. Night fell, and the clash erupted. Torches flared, swords sang, screams tore the dark. Vespasian's general Primus drove his men like a spear, breaking Vitellius's lines in hours. The northerners fought, but their spirit cracked. Deserters fled, the rest died where they stood. By dawn, October 25th, the field was a slaughter. Yard, 15,000 dead, the rest captured or scattered. Vitellius's banners lay trampled, his rule unraveling with every corpse. This wasn't a fight for honor, it was annihilation, a brutal truth legacy media skirts. Rome's power wasn't won by votes, but by bodies piled high. Vespasian didn't flinch. He'd ordered this, his rebellion a machine of war that ground Vitellius to dust. The Second Battle of Bedriacum wasn't just a victory, it was a statement, a shift in the game that left one player standing. Rome heard the news, its streets buzzing with dread and hope, its fate now in Vespasian's hands. The echoes of that night's carnage roared, a warning that power bows to no one and the throne's price is paid in blood. December 20th, 69 AD. Rome's walls fell to Vespasian's legions, a tide of steel that swept through the city. Vitellius, bloated and broken, hid in a porter's lodge, his feasts forgotten, his power a memory. The invaders found him, dragged him out, his toga torn, his pleas drowned by jeers. December 21st, the mob took over, their hands claws, their rage a storm. They beat him, stabbed him, his blood soaking the Gemonian stairs as they hacked his body apart. His head rolled. His reign, 9 months of gluttony and terror, ended in a butcher's frenzy. Vespasian's men watched, their victory sealed, the Senate bowing to the fourth emperor. At 59, Vespasian claimed the throne, his rule born into a year of blood, 4 emperors, thousands dead, Rome scarred but standing. This wasn't a clean end. It was a savage climax. A truth legacy media buries. The year of the 4 emperors was no noble struggle, but a game of thrones where betrayal ruled and the people paid the price. Vitellius's fall was Rome's mirror, its greed, its chaos, its hunger for power laid bare. Vespasian rose not as a hero but a survivor, his hands as red as those he'd toppled. The echoes of that year's slaughter lingered, a warning carved in the city's stones. Power isn't given, it's taken, and its cost is a river of blood. As 69 AD faded, Rome stood battered, its throne claimed by Vespasian, the last man standing in a year of carnage. 4 emperors, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and now Vespasian, each rose and fell, their reigns a brutal dance of ambition and betrayal. The year of the 4 emperors wasn't a chapter of glory. It was a wound. A truth legacy media softens with tales of order restored. Over 50,000 died, soldiers, citizens, pawns in a game where power was the only prize. The forum's stones still bore the stains, the Gemonian stairs, a grim monument to Vitellius's end. Vespasian ruled, his grip steady, but the echoes of that year whispered a lesson. Thrones aren't won by right. They're forged in blood, their foundations cracked with every knife. This was the real Game of Thrones, not a fantasy, but a history where conspiracies thrived, control was a blade, and the people's cries were drowned by the clash of steel. Rome survived, but at what cost? The core truth bites. Power isn't noble, it's a beast, and those who tame it wear its scars. As we leave this tale, look closer at history's shadows. Every empire, every ruler plays this game, its rules unchanged. The bloody echoes of 69 AD ring on, a challenge to see past the crowns and into the graves they hide. This is no end. It's a mirror, reflecting a world where the struggle for power never sleeps. Thanks for sticking by and seeing this wonderful video. Please like, share, drop nice comments, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have nice videos you can see in my timeline. Thanks for the endless love, and I promise to always bring you guys great, true, and unfiltered stories like this.
Dark clouds roll in the night, tears fall like heavy rain, hearts breaking in silence, pain lingers in the air, memories scattered fast, love lost like fading light, whispers of yesterday and shadows of our fight. After the rain falls down, loneliness is all I found, broken dreams on the ground.
Forgotten echoes brought to you by Lion Republic TV. My stay jiggy, UD Dare.